You got guys that punch hard and hit hard, and you got guys that come out and win a few rounds. But nothing really was tough.
Okay. A lot of people are saying that Usyk heavyweight run isn't a lot of fighters at heavyweight, of course, because he only fought, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fighters at heavyweight.
So again, I think Oleksandr Usyk is an exceptional fighter, but you need to match him with someone that can actually match his work rate. Okay, and for me, Andrei Kabayel can match his work rate. He's going to go to the body. He's going to follow a game plan.
Floyd Mayweather thinks that without considering the whole picture, people are too ready to declare new heroes. He wonders if Oleksandr Usyk is really deserving of the accolades he's been receiving. Floyd Mayweather never holds back, while reminding people that he is the best. He states, "No fighter before or after him is better," and that includes Oleksandr Usyk. Floyd disagrees with the notion that Usyk is an all-time great, despite what fans say. Floyd feels that despite Usyk's talent, his own legacy is incomparably superior. He made history in several weight classes, retired undefeated, and dominated the sport for many years. Floyd's opponents were never as good as Usyk's. Usyk is overrated in Floyd's opinion, and falls far short of him in terms of brilliance, legacy, or skill.
At the end of the day, I'll let you know. There's no fighter that will ever be better than me. There's no fighter that wasn't better than me before me or after me or when I'm long gone. I'm the best.
The increasing acclaim for Oleksandr Usyk is persuasively refuted by critics, such as Showbiz the Grown-Up. Although many people praise Usyk as one of the greatest fighters of all time for his supremacy in the heavyweight class, others doubt whether his opponents were good enough to back up such assertions. The quality of the competition is what makes or breaks the argument. The significance of Usyk's triumphs is diminished if the combatants he defeated were not elite or at the height of their abilities. The majority of Usyk's opponents, with the exception of Tyson Fury, who is regularly cited as a genuine elite opponent, lack the notoriety necessary to place him on par with historical greats like Ali or Holyfield.
Saying that Usyk heavyweight run isn't a lot of fighters at heavyweight, of course, because he only fought, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fighters at heavyweight. But they saying that it's full of quality, right? I want you to understand, full of quality. Witherspoon isn't an all-time great heavyweight. His brother, Tim Witherspoon, you can argue. But Chance Witherspoon, no. Derek Chisora is not an all-time great heavyweight. He's not. He's a fantastic competitor, but if you look at who he fought and look at who he lost to, Chisora is not an all-time great heavyweight. He's not. Dubois is not yet an all-time great heavyweight. Look at who he fought, who he struggled with, who he lost to. Dubois is not an all-time great heavyweight. So we're left with, when you say quality, we're left with Tyson the Gypsy King Fury and Anthony A.J. Joshua. Now, if you guys think that AJ is an all-time great heavyweight, you can. I can understand that. I definitely can. There's an argument to be made. But Anthony Joshua, when you think about him and a lot of ops from other great heavyweights, Anthony Joshua lost to the likes of Ruiz, been knocked out by Ruiz, was knocked out by Dubois. Anthony Joshua, I'm not sure if you would consider him an all-time great heavyweight, but you can make an argument. Tyson Fury definitely can. So beating Tyson Fury twice is really Usyk's claim to fame. It's his thing.
Analysts also argue that Usyk's genius is better understood in terms of pound-for-pound rankings rather than his legacy as the greatest heavyweight of all time. They see him as a modern great who is a master craftsman with exceptional footwork, defense, and ring IQ. These analysts do not, however, go so far as to refer to him as a heavyweight legend. They contend that Usyk's brilliance stems not from defeating historically significant opponents, but rather from his own style and versatility. As a result, even if he could be listed among
Yes. Now, is it a special birthday that you did a week long, or no? That's just how you.
But let's talk about Usyk. His performance was okay. That's number one. And many of you say, well, Usyk is a top 10 all-time great heavyweight. I don't agree, because Usyk has only had like 7 heavyweight fights. is very stacked within those 7 fights. But really, it's hard to put him past people who's had 30 plus, 40 plus fights and just had a career, a great all-time career at heavyweight. But what I can say is that Oleksandr Usyk is one of the greatest fighters, pound for pound, ever. And I put him on my Mount Rushmore today. So I don't have him as an all-time great heavyweight, but I do have him as an all-time great pound for pound fighter. And where do I put him there? Pretty damn high.
Critics also note that a large number of Usyk's rivals have lost not because Usyk was unbeatable, but rather because they failed to make good use of their abilities. Even after encountering him multiple times, some people found it difficult to adapt. A fighter with superior ring awareness and strategy, such as Michael Hunter or perhaps Joe Joyce, could have presented a greater threat. According to analysts, one of the more perceptive interpretations is that a more evenly matched bout would result from competitors who can match Usyk's timing and mobility, which is something that very few heavyweights practice. Rather, many entered the arena without a clear strategy, which greatly simplified Usyk's work.
A bit harsh on Daniel Dubois after the fight, and I actually think I'm, being fair in being a bit harsh on him. I think Daniel Dubois is an exceptional fighter, but there is something, where it's a confidence thing. And I think Oleksandr Usyk, give him a lot of credit. His jab looked exceptional on Saturday, and really that first, jab that landed on Daniel Dubois, it snapped his head back, and it was a powerful jab. It actually reminded me of Artur Beterbiev's jab when it's, when he really snaps it. And it was obviously a very powerful shot. So I think Daniel Dubois, I think he was confused by Usyk, and I think, he just looked so discouraged to me. Again, take nothing away from Oleksandr Usyk. I thought it was an exceptional performance. And to be honest, he really didn't even get out of second gear. And he didn't even need to. Now, obviously, there's a lot of, talk about what he's going to do next. In my opinion, really, there's only one fight that I would actually want to see. For me, that's Adrian Caballel. I think Adrian Caballel is someone that, number one, knows how to go to the body. I think if Oleksandr Usyk does have a weakness, it is the body. I think Adrian Caballel can follow a disciplined game plan. I think he's had a good string of wins. And I think his stamina is very good as well. I think Oleksandr Usyk is, winning a lot of these fights based on his speed, his stamina, and his footwork. These big heavyweights like Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, they cannot live with the pace that Usyk is setting. Daniel Dubois was knackered after 3 rounds in that fight. Okay, so they can't live with the pace. So again, I think Oleksandr Usyk is an exceptional fighter, but you need to match him with someone that can actually match his work rate. Okay, and for me, Adrian Caballel can match his work rate. He's going to go to the body. He's going to follow a game plan.
Show Eyes emphasizes that placing. It's too soon to put Usyk among names like Evander Holyfield and Muhammad Ali. He contends that Usyk does not yet possess the qualifications necessary to be admitted to that exclusive table. The greatest fighters in history are distinguished not only by their skill, but also by the difficulty of the opponents they defeated. Even Usyk's top 5 opponents wouldn't have made into Ali or Holyfield's top 5, claims Showbiz. This analogy highlights the difference between being a wonderful era and being among the finest of all time periods.
Run. I cannot put that over the likes of Evander the Real Deal Holyfield fighting and beating the likes of Riddick Bowe, beating the likes of George Foreman. When he beat George Foreman was a killer. Beating George Foreman, beating the likes of Iron Mike Tyson. He was a huge underdog there. Beating the likes of Larry Holmes, beating Michael Moorer, Evander beating Michael Dokes, if you guys know who that is and how good of a fighter he was. Evander the Real Deal Holyfield has a different reign. I cannot put Usyk with his 5 heavyweight opponents over heavyweights, great heavyweights, who made careers at heavyweight. We all know what Muhammad Ali did. Muhammad Ali beat the who's who of heavyweight greats. He fought them all, and he beat them, okay? But then you have guys like Larry Holmes who have beaten the Ernie Shavers, who have beaten the Ken Nortons. You have the likes of Jack Johnson, which when you look at his box rec, you see his record and you don't know what he had to overcome to be so great.
Many anticipated a conflict when Daniel Dubois and Usyk entered the ring. Nevertheless, post-fight investigation revealed a number of shortcomings in Dubois' planning and performance. His poor footwork, lack of head movement, and inability to maintain pressure were all highlighted by observers. This made people wonder, was Du Bois merely unimpressive, or was Usyk really in control, despite Usyk's obvious victory? Some people think the bout revealed Du Bois' subpar form that evening more than Usyk's best performance. Discussions over the degree of competition Usyk faces were rekindled by this poor result.
Very pro Dubois. And we were willing him on being a London boy and stuff like that. I thought he won the first round. What Usyk won the second round. But I thought there was arguments for certainly giving Dubois the third round. But you could see, even if he was in the fight, things were starting to change after the second round. Usyk just had that extra little bit of class about him.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have him for any rounds. I just thought Usyk was so dominant, and that jab. And I'm not no boxing expert. I'm a casual. I'm a heavyweight casual. I just love to see big heavyweights box each other and knockouts. But I just feel like Usyk just was not even out of second gear. Like,
didn't need to be.
He didn't need to be. He just had him on that jab, and he just kept plowing away. And whenever Dubois tried to land like a big shot, like one of those big punches that you
Teddy Atlas, a well-known trainer, provided a critical analysis of Du Bois' strategy against Usyk. He emphasized that Du Bois was unable to adjust even though he had already witnessed Usyk's strength and movement. Du Bois' lack of physique and general strategy was his main criticism. Atlas claims that Du Bois approached the fight as a typical match rather than a strategic conflict, since he had not prepared tactically. This made the knockdown seem inevitable by exposing him to Usyk's rhythm and angles. The argument that many of Usyk's rivals are just not prepared for his analytical method is strengthened by Atlas's perspective.
I still thought, with the game plan, how do you not see that and adjust 3 rounds later and do it again? But the more disturbing thing to me, Bud, was the lack of body work from Dubois. How do you not go to the body after what happened in the first fight? How do you not test that? He didn't throw one body shot maybe until the 3rd round, and maybe he threw a couple throughout the whole entire fight, or as long as it lasted into the 5th round. That was surprising to me, and I thought they dropped the ball big time with that as well.
You know, to that point, when he did throw the one body shot, I'm not going to get deep into this because it was only one, but it almost looked like it bothered Usyk.
Right?
You know what I mean?
And it looked like very similar to the first fight, close to that belt line, right?
Yeah. But it was low. It was a little low. It was. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. But still, to your point, how do you leave that alone? And then I'm gonna early in the show when I broke down the Holloway and Poirier fight, I'm gonna go back to that real quick now. Holloway won because he had he won because he's great and because he's who he is and because of his makeup and his intestinal fortitude, his skills. I understand all that. But he won the way he won this fight because he had a great fight plan. To your point, to our point, Dubois had no fight plan. And to my point, I'm going to answer your question. You ask a brilliant question. See, the show is so much better with you. I'm sorry. I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not. I'm grateful for everyone. Everyone. And everything the history of this show has been. But you open up conversation for me by bringing me down places that conversation needs to be opened up by asking certain things that are relevant in this sport. And what you brought up is how. And I'm going to answer that question. How do you not have a better fight plan? How do you not adjust when you made those mistakes in the 2nd and 3rd round that Dubois made, reaching in? You see the guy stepping out. You see he's setting traps. How do you not adjust to that? I'm going to answer it, bud. Part of the thing that is Dubois is that what I was explaining before about being awkward, about being, a guy that kind of like, he simply gets directed. He's the kind of guy like, you direct him, you give him more confidence, and he's going to go. And he did that. He did that. He did it in the Hertzovich fight. He walked through right hands. He did it in the Joshua fight. He took charge and he caught him. He did. But you can't do that in some fights.
Despite all of these accolades, Comparisons to Muhammad Ali still fall short because of Ali's cultural influence, depth of competition, and legendary fights across generations, which elevate him above mere accomplishments. Usyk may be great by today's standards, but Ali remains a once-in-a-century figure whose shadow looms large over all discussions of boxing greatness. Usyk's dominant performance over Daniel Dubois left many analysts impressed. Becoming a three-time undisputed champion is no small feat, and it highlights his technical mastery.
Daniel Dubois in the 5th round.
Oleksandr Usyk at his scintillating best with a left counter to the chin, and it was good night for Daniel Dubois, and all rise for the brilliance of Oleksandr Usyk.
Man, I can't lie to you, bro. That overhand left is different. Is different. You put it right on the. That's taking you out, bro. It's cut. You're cut. I'm not gonna lie, man. When it comes to heavyweight fighters, you have to put Oleksandr Usyk. He's top 10, bro. It might be crazy to say he top 5, but you gotta look at what he's doing, bro. When it comes to heavyweights, bro, he's different. He's different. It's just simple and plain. After this performance, where do you guys rank Usyk all time? Just strictly heavyweights. When it comes to heavyweights, where do you guys rank him all time? I'm not gonna lie. He's gotta be top 10.
Boxing fans are constantly debating who would prevail in a hypothetical contest between Usyk and Muhammad Ali. Surprisingly, many people think Ali would have significant problems against Usyk's distinct southpaw movement and technical skill. They contend that even a prime Ali would have been outwitted by his unconventional angles, feints, and discipline, although still in the minority. This stance emphasizes how well-regarded Usyk is due to his ring IQ. Others, however, maintain that Ali's versatility and spirit of fighter would have ultimately outclassed Usyk, particularly in the later stages. This possibility is constantly exciting because of the collision of styles.
We've got to have an awkward conversation. Prime Muhammad Ali versus Oleksandr Usyk. Who wins this fight? The tale of the tape, both men are pretty much just about the same. Not entirely sure on the birthday thing though, someone can go and fact check that one. And Usyk did actually weigh heavier than 220 pounds when he fought Daniel Dubois. But regardless of that, the two absolute legends of the sport, who would win this? Now, for me, if I'm honest with you, man, this is going to be a real hot take, but I think Usyk wins this, you know. I love Muhammad Ali. He's one of my favourite boxers of all time to watch. I can still go back and watch most of his fights now and enjoy them. He was definitely ahead of his time. But when I watch Oleksandr Usyk and the way that he boxes and, you know, the way that sort of Soviet style, that Ukrainian style now, has come on over the years, and the fact that most of Muhammad Ali's opponents were of a similar size, similar weight to him, whereas Oleksandr Usyk is giving away a lot of weight against a lot of his opponents and still coming out and dominating them. I think Usyk does it. I also, and this is going to be a bit of a hot take, I do think that the current day heavyweight division is probably better than it was when Muhammad Ali was around in terms of the actual caliber of fighters. I think the fact that fighters can only really fight twice a year at max in the heavyweight division now, especially when you're at the very, very top, whereas in Muhammad Ali's age, they could genuinely fight like 5-6 times a year sometimes. I think it speaks a lot to how the sport as a whole has really come on. But yeah, let me know your opinions in the comments. I know I'm going to get an absolute lashing for this one, but yeah, I think Oleksandr Usyk beats Muhammad Ali. I can't believe I've just said that, but hey ho, is what it is. I think Usyk's too technical, it's too good. I think he would actually knock Muhammad Ali out, especially given that Muhammad Ali had a tendency to pull backwards with his chin in the air, and I think Usyk probably finds that. Not to mention that the dimensions are pretty much the same, so Usyk isn't punching up or anything like that. Anyway, let me know in the comments. As always, like, favourite, similar, share. I'll appreciate it for more boxing content. Hit that follow button. Peace out.
Advocates of a Usyk versus Ali argument frequently draw attention to the boxers' physical similarities. Both are of similar height and weight, and they compete in the heavyweight division using footwork and quickness instead of force. These comparisons go beyond just numbers. What it means to be a technical heavyweight has been redefined by each man. Just as Ali's lateral movement and jab revolutionized boxing in the 1960s, Usyk's footwork and spacing are currently redefining the heavyweight narrative. Few people are able to match their ability to prevail without the use of force. Legendary individual Lennox Lewis contributed to the Usyk discussion by asserting that he may have won if they had fought during the same time period as the Ukrainians. Lewis thinks that the reason contemporary heavyweights find it difficult to beat Usyk is that they are unable to recognize his rhythm or disrupt his flow. He says that reducing the ring, making good use of size, and focusing on the body early are crucial. Lewis was renowned for his strategies. His assertion goes beyond confidence alone. It concerns the tactical gap in today's combatants. He maintains that Usyk may be defeated with careful preparation. Whether he is correct, his analysis provides...
How do you think Oleksandr Usyk would have done in your era, the era of Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson? How do you think he would have done against you and your contemporaries?
I would have to compare him to Evander Holyfield, and I think he would have done very well. Very well. I don't think he would have lasted against me because, I throw a mean uppercut in there, and I noticed he gets caught with uppercuts. So he wouldn't have been able to stand up to my uppercuts.
That concludes the video for today. Keep an eye out. Till the next time,